This is the ECD press conference. I'm Stephen Bina, the Communication Director for East Central Africa Division. We're at a general conference session in San Antonio, Texas, and specifically in the Alamo Dome, where the meetings have been going on for the past 1 week. We thank God that everything has gone well. The elections have taken place. Delegates have discussed quite a number of things that you who are connected can see. But also, we have had a lot of interaction with so many people around. It's a family that met here for meetings. Today, we have a press conference for East Central Africa Division. Our president, Pastor Blasious Ruguri, was re-elected a few days ago, and he wants to talk to us, and we'll be able to ask him questions pertaining to our territory at ECD. And I'd like him now to come forward as I introduce him. Pastor Blasious Ruguri, please. We are here for this press conference, and I'd like you to address us for a few minutes, and then after that we'll have questions for you to just let the constituents know what direction you are taking as a leader of this East Central Africa Division. Thank you very much, Pastor Blasious. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Pastor Bina. It's my privilege and my pleasure to be able to share a thought or a word, not just with the members of the press conference here, but also with the wider constituency members back home who are watching us and very keen to understand which direction the church, especially in our own division, East Central Africa Division, will be taking for the next 5 years. It's my joy and my pleasure that truly God has been so wonderful to us for the last 5 years. And like we always like as Seventh-day Adventists to quote that we have nothing to fear for the future unless we forget the way the Lord has led us in the past. If you don't know where you're coming from, then there's no way you will know where you are going. But I think as East Central Africa Division, we have witnessed manifestations of God for the last 5 years in a very, very distinct and mighty way. And all of us have a testimony and a witness to know that we cannot afford to be afraid. We all agree that where we are today in the history of this world, we are truly in the very last days. There's nothing hidden. Every day, signs are coming out so clearly. It doesn't matter what you look at, those signs are there. And when you know that, then you have to understand that we have to hasten our mission. We all have to enlist everyone in our territory to participate in mission, because this mission cannot be finished just by a few faithful members. Time has come when all of us have to report to the post of duty and agree that we owe God nothing less than total commitment to do that which He asked us to do. And so I see these 5 years ahead of us before we can come back to another venue somewhere to plan again if our Lord will not have returned. I see these 5 years as a great opportunity and a privilege that the Lord has given to His people in East Central Africa Division. That is our corner. That is where God has asked us to minister. And I want to make a call upon all East Central Africa Division members of the church to be ready to undertake another 5 years of a very busy schedule. I know that all of us feel proud of what the Lord enabled us to do for the last 5 years, and truly the Lord has been so good to us. We have seen great things happen in almost every country, except maybe one or two countries where the doors have not been opened for us to witness. But even in those two countries, we have been able to witness from outside. And the impact of our witness from outside has been carried into those countries in different ways. And those people out there also received the witness of the Great Commission. So thank you very, very much. I'm very glad that there is a group before me here this afternoon to be able to share with us together as the rest of our people out there will also be following if they will be connected. Thank you very, very much, Pastor Bina, for this opportunity for us to be able to speak to our dear church members everywhere in this world.
Thank you, Elder Ruguri, for those comments and the preliminary setting of this press conference. I just have one question, a quick one. Elder Ruguri, the East Central Africa Division is a wide territory of 11 countries.
Right.
There are a lot of challenges in terms of reaching out there.
True, Pastor.
As the president elected now for the second term, how do you plan to reach those places? Because it's a challenge in reaching. Can you share with us briefly what your plans could be?
It's very true, Pastor. The terrain of the East Central Africa Division is very challenging. We have territories that are purely very open for any person to access for mission, and those are easy, and we thank God for that. Of course, there are some also that have been countries known for nothing less but war for many, many years, making life very difficult even for our church members living in those countries. Some of them have come out of that at this time. Others are still not quite easy to access, like you mentioned. But we will always remain to thank God because despite all those very difficult situations, we have seen God through his own ways lifting that cloud of war atmosphere.
Yes.
And right now, our people are beginning to settle back to their normal residential places to continue with their church life. Now, I did mention in my first remarks that we have a few countries where we cannot access very easily because of their either religious stance there, where there is no freedom of worship, and those countries are cut off from our physical access. But I want to thank God, Pastor Bina, by saying that it is very difficult to fight with God.
Correct.
Because even those systems which try to shut God out have been terribly frustrated. Because this church came up with the media channels of communication like radio.
Yes.
And I want to really thank God for the radio ministry. There was a time I used to preach a very interesting sermon based on Revelation 14, when we read about this angel who is seen flying in the midst of the air, carrying the everlasting gospel. And sometimes people would ask me, Pastor Ruguri, who is this angel? I said, that angel is the radio. Because you see, the radio is an interesting angel or messenger who cannot be restricted.
Correct.
Because he will fly even into those countries where people say, we don't want to see Christians come in here. We don't want to see the Bible enter into our borders. But what will they do with the radio? Because in those countries, or in some of those countries, we have baptized hundreds of believers who have received the message, the three angels' message, through radio. and we have been working with those people to make sure that they get the radio. Now, when you give them the radio, nobody will accuse you for giving people radio, because radio is not actually known for Christian message. It's like a tool of just receiving news. But we have hidden ourselves there, and we know that we will show those people where our frequency is, and they will access the message. And through that radio, we have been able to bring in many, many to Christ. So I think in a simple way, Pastor, I can tell you that we have that method. We are still maximizing its use. And maybe sooner than later, even the television itself, within the borders of your own walls, you can watch whatever TV channel that we can be able to uplink up there, and people can access in different countries.
In your speech, you said the ECD schedule is going to be very hectic,
Right.
and that you are going to enlist every member in the Great Commission.
Yes, right.
My question is, in particular, how are you going to enlist the youth? What is your strategy, and what is your plan?
Thank you very much. That is a very good question, and I can guess why you are looking at the youth in particular, because we have everyone involved in mission. But the question is, why are you just interested in the youth? And I believe you know that the energy of any society is hidden in their youth. Let me say that the youth of ECD in every country are a very willing instruments of mission from all the times. Our young people have never been stubborn or unconcerned with the mission. We have seen them do great things in mission from any time when we have sought for their involvement. Of course, in our church we have departments, and we also have the department of young people from the local church level all the way to the division level. Now, to bring your question to a very specific answer, I'll tell you that we are going to work with our youth directors, our youth leaders, at all the levels of our church. Sensitize them to realize that young people are willing to participate in mission, and they are more ready than we think to actually go an extra mile. You see, we now have programs that have been very well outlined. And I think all of us are aware of this program where we trained young people across all the levels of the church, actually involved them in particular evangelistic initiatives. And we sent our young person from our division to participate in this project in New York. And then we brought him down to train the division young people and leaders there. And we also held a training symposium in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, where young leaders, youth leaders from across the division territory attended. They have their own unique way of reaching out to the territories. And I will tell you, Dr. Ngaite, when you involve your young people in mission, you can go home and take some rest, because you can count the work done.
Last quinquennium, your motto was destined to fly.
Right.
And I think we did fly.
Yeah, we did.
So what next?
You see, when you start flying, you will never want to come back and start driving or start running or start walking. I think the highest style of movement that anyone can envisage for himself is flying. I think the whole question has been gaining attitude in your flight. All of us came here through flying. And I'm sure you observed in your flight that there are times when they could indicate in the screen in front of you that at this time we are cruising at 30,000 feet above sea level, then 35, then 39, then 40. Before you know it, you have reached your destination, and we know where we are going. So I don't think we should be scared with that, Professor Manu. I think we are still thinking how to coin our theme for the next quinquennium. There are times when we ask our union presidents to assist us in coining this, because this is not something that is just for the East Central Africa Division office. East Central Africa Division is not an office, it's a territory. So we want to work with our leaders so that we come up with a theme that will make sense to all of us as we embark on our mission. But your question is very good, because it is beginning to tell us that we cannot afford to come any lower than we have already reached. And when I see my leaders who are here smiling, I can tell that they are already beginning to dream. So if it is a question of flying at a higher altitude, no problem with that. But you see, the whole issue was, or the whole idea was, we cannot afford to be satisfied with less. That's why we put ourselves at the flying mood level. We are, the work ahead of us is so immense, Prof, that if we use the walking style or the running style or the driving style, it will take eternity for us to accomplish the work. And so we said we are flying. Again, remember, we borrowed this whole concept from the book of Revelation 14, where this angel, again, is seeing, not driving, not running, but doing what? Flying. Interesting is that even during the Bible times, the prophets and the apostles were clear about the concept of flying. So he borrowed from the Bible, Pastor Bina, and I think we did a good flight last quinquennium. Our report was quite clear that even though we did not have so much resources, we were able to do things that were out of this world in God's name. And our accomplishments actually confused us, because we were not aware that we were able to do that. But of course, with God, is there anything impossible? So, Pastor, Professor, I am counting on the same God. I know he has not changed.
I am glad with the flying and the harvest that we got in the last 5 years. I was only worried as the report was being given of the exits, because I know we baptize in numbers.
Yes.
What strategy do we have to retain? Because that could be the greatest concern of our division. And then secondly, how do we put the strategy to create the culture of prayer in all our churches?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Sarah Serem. I'm always very humbled by seeing the intensity of the concerns all of us have about that issue of losing members in hundreds, sometimes in thousands. For a shepherd like me, and all of you here, the pain is immeasurable. When you baptize 10 souls and the next day you receive a report that only 2 are remaining, or 3. But even losing 1 is still painful, because we know how much effort it takes to win a soul. So this is not a question that I am going to solve alone or by myself. And I think that is where the prayer life begins, really. Because when you think of human souls, we are not talking of pieces of wood. You are talking of human beings, very precious in the sight of God. And all of you know that our main task in this life is just to win. God himself clearly indicated that when a good shepherd, when he loses one lamb, he will be forced by the passion and love for that one lamb to leave the 99 and go after that very one. Now, that by itself is a big message there to tell us that we need to do everything possible under the leading of God to develop strategies, plans at all levels of our church to nurture our members. If it is our teaching that is lacking, if it is our preaching that is lacking, if it is our care for those who have been converted, which is short, we have to know where it is falling short. There is a very strong feeling, and I've been following this over the years, that we are so good in winning souls. But as soon as they reach the church, nobody cares anymore. We leave them alone. On Sabbath mornings, nobody shows them love. Nobody embraces them. Nobody hugs them. Nobody even shakes their hand. And some of these people we win them from other fellowships where they are embraced every morning, where they are taken care of very, very well, except for the lack that we know about the truth. So in other social areas, they are well off there. They are not lacking that. So when they come to us, after we have given them the message of the truth that we know, and when they come to our borders, they realize that we are no longer interested in them, I can assure you they will all run away. I think I may not be able right now to unravel the whole plan we may have, but I think there is no question at all levels, beginning the local church to the division itself, we are going to challenge all our working committees to develop a plan. And it is already there. The General Conference actually has come up with the retention plan, very elaborate. And the General Conference Secretary, the one who was there and the one who has been re-elected, is very, very keen in this. Research has been done, conducted from the General Conference, ministries of archives, statistics, and research, just to find out. Our universities have been requested to do this survey, and it has shown clearly that we are losing many, and we now know who the officers in the church system care the least and who actually could be the cause of the losses we incur. I am sorry to say that the pastor has not been rated the highest in taking care of the flock that he himself wins. And so we are going to tell the pastors to balance their ministry so that they do not just get themselves involved in winning and not taking care as well. You know.
Okay. Yeah, I am Samson Wama, the seminary dean, AUA.
Thank you.
Listening to the reports of the GC secretary, an area he pointed out is our presence in minority groups. And I think it's an area I want to challenge you so that while we do a global evangelism, we're also concerned about the minority.
Yes.
The second aspect is what you would think about Adventist education in your territory in these 5 years.
Yes.
And then as a division which I have come to live in 2 years, I see that ECD has a lot to offer to the rest of Africa. And I think that you also want to use your office to see how we will move forward as a continent, reaching the continent also with the goal and mission of giving. Thank you.
I may make one simple remark on that because what you said is very, very important, Professor Norma. And I'm very happy that you are the Dean of the Seminary at the Adventist University of Africa. This is our center of education. This is our very, very powerful institution, and I want to thank God for the Adventist University of Africa. African continent is very potential. The numbers you have seen here, I've told you a story about Africa and the place of Africa in the world field as far as the Seventh-day Adventist Church is concerned. Our contribution is not small. Our percentage of membership in terms of the world membership is very significant. I hope we are not just going to be boasting about the numbers. I hope we are going to be talking about our contribution in mission. But of course, the best we can do is to saturate our continent first with the services of mission before we can begin spilling out to the rest of the world. Because we have to begin coming from a very wealthy environment in mission before we can be able to influence the rest. I think, brothers and sisters, you will agree with me that if all of us are willing, and if all of us will be totally committed to this thing called mission, using our talents, using our time, using our resources, if we can remember that we do not have the luxury of time on this earth, and call upon each and every one of us to directly, individually, and corporately get involved in mission, all of us will be surprised by what God will be able to do in our midst. And it's my call, when you train our pastors, Professor, let this not be a seminary program as usual. Time has come for us to translate the paper we give to them after completion into a passion, so that our pastors do not just leave the seminary feeling good about the degree they have received. And I can tell you, once we rise above that very, very unfortunate kind of attitude, I think we will be able to answer a big question that God has asked us for mission.
About our dispensaries, we teach a lot about health.
Yes.
But when you look at our dispensaries, the so-called sanati, there is nothing good. Many of them are dead. What is your plan for the next 5 years that we see most of our little dispensaries come up, because that's part of evangelism?
That's true. And thank you very much, Madam. That's a very, very real and practical question. I wish I had all the time to dream with you on what we should be doing. But you know, all of you know that we have adopted something that we are now calling comprehensive health ministry approach, where actually this is a revisit to the Spirit of Prophecy Council, where Sister White came out very strongly that we will not finish this work of mission unless we embrace the comprehensive health approach. Now, I don't know why we have all slowed down, not only in ECD, but in many other parts of the world, about our health ministries. This, you know, we live in a sick world. People are sick. And it is of no much consequence if you go out preaching this gospel without taking care of people's health. And when people realize that you are interested in their health and you are about to address that need, some of you will not open the Bible before they have asked you for baptism. That's how powerful and impacting the health approach can be. I think it is another area all of us are going to be discussing this time. And we have no option because it has become a global church concern. It is very unfortunate that, I don't know why, we all slowed down in that area. But what you have asked, Ma'am, is like a reviving question. And we will embrace that question and make sure that we have revived all our medical and health centers.
But Pastor Ruguri, because this is the time you have, a few words to conclude this ECD press conference will be appropriate at this time as we conclude the time.
Thank you very much, Pastor Bina. Again, I want to take this opportunity to thank the members of this press conference for agitating my thinking by asking very difficult questions, but very edifying questions. I want, again, to tell you that the secret of East Central Africa Division is not for you to become onlookers or observers. Our victory is simply based in the involvement of each and every one of you. My office is open. Kindly feel so free to write to me a message and ask me a question and say, Pastor, what are you doing about this? What are you thinking about this? And through that kind of participation on the part of everyone, I think we are going to go places. Right now, our membership stands at 3.1 million. And I can tell you we could be at 4 million if we were not so faithful in what we call membership audit. You know, some people may like, you know, having big figures in the books, while actually they know that those figures are not actual. But for us, we determined to go truthful and actual, and we have lost so big figures. But during this quinquennium, if we will embark on the vigorous program we are thinking about on evangelism, I think we should be able even to clock 4 million figure of membership. Thank you very much, Pastor, and I think we are all proud of ourselves and the Lord is on our side.